May the souls of our departed brothers from Kano State, who were gruesomely murdered and mistaken for kidnappers, criminals by vigilante groups in Uromi, in Edo State, rest in perfect peace. Leader of the Senate. We made an exception because of the urgency of the accident that occurred in Senator Yaro's constituency in Gombe State. So we may just give him a few minutes to quickly run through it. Distinguished Senator Siaka Anthony Yaro.
Thank you, Mr. President. Distinguished colleagues, I'm Senator Anthony Siaka, representing the people of the South Senatorial District from Gombe State. The Senate notes that on Easter Monday, 21st April 2025, a tragedy occurred in Plenary, Gombe Road at Tasha, part of my constituency area of the state, where a truck loaded with grains full rammed into the procession of people doing procession for Easter, who were celebrating Easter on the main road. That this unfortunate incident claimed the license, and about 25 persons sustained various degrees of injury. Some are very critical and are currently receiving treatment in the Federal Teaching Hospital Gombe and Specialist Hospital Gombe. That the Gombe State government set up a committee to, among other things, investigate the cause of the accident with a view to averting the occurrence in the near future, anytime. Also aware that upon conclusion, among other things, the incident was caused by a deliberate act of truck driver. Furthermore, that the Nigerian police also carried out the investigation and found out that the truck driver has been subsequently charged for reckless driving that resulted in the death of people. Thankfully, the driver is under custody. Concerned that this unfortunate and avoidable incident has attracted widespread grief and condemnation, with demands for justice from the families of the victims and the Christian community in the local government area. As such, urgent steps must be taken to appeal to the minds and conscience of the people so that the matter will not escalate and degenerate into a more serious situation. Accordingly, my prayers, sir, we commend the Gombe State government and the local government, and indeed my federal constituency colleagues in the House of Reps for their prompt response to the incident, and therefore urge the Nigerian Police and the Federal Road Safety Commission, as well as other relevant security agencies, to provide adequate security and ensure strict adherence to road safety measures to forestall future occurrence whenever such major events are taking place across the country. Also urge the Nigerian Police to speed up the prosecution of the truck driver so that justice can be obtained and ensure that he is adequately punished with the applicable laws of such offences, laws of the land. Further urge the federal government to compensate the families of the deceased to acknowledge their grief to some extent and attempt to liaise with the victims that are in the hospital presently for immediate succor. Lastly, to observe a minute silence in honor of the victims, I so submit. Mr. President.
And the distinguished Senator Goje.
Thank you, Mr. President. I'm Mohammed Goje, President of the Central Gombe State. Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, I stand to second and support this submission. My colleague from Gombe Central regarding the unfortunate incident that happened during the Easter days, precisely on the 2nd of April this year. Mr. President, this incident is not the first one. Just months back, during the Christmas celebration, similar incident happened in the town, whereby a truck also crashed into the procession celebrating the Christmas. Mr. President, people are worried as to why, apart from the fact that the drivers are very reckless, that are failure of brakes, but the security agencies should have done better, should have learned even from the Christmas incident to ensure that this does not happen again. In my opinion, Mr. President, whenever such positions take place, the security agencies, the police, the rest of the agencies should block the road for the period which does not take more than 10, 15 minutes, 20 minutes. The processors will be able to do it comfortably without any fear of any danger occurring to them. But a situation whereby people come, occupy the main road, highway in particular, because this particular incident happened on a highway between Yola and Gombe. It's a highway, very busy highway. The police should have stopped the vehicles from moving at that period of time. But they were allowed to just go on, and then the truck just somehow, according to the driver, the brakes him, and he ran to them. Grateful that the people did not go into the house, because there was a move to change the narrative and give it some meanings that are not true. But thankfully, the government, the traditional rulers, and the leaders, particularly the Christian leaders in Plenary, intervened to ensure that matters were controlled. So, Mr. President, I want to emphasize that the security people should cooperate with the Christian leaders whenever positions are taking place, so that people are properly protected, especially from the back. It always happens that trucks that are coming behind them are the one ramming into the road. So it's just a question of blocking the road for a few minutes and it's over. And nothing will happen because it doesn't cost much for drivers to be stopped for about 20 minutes, because the celebration for Christmas or Easter, and therefore you use that protection that requires. So, President, I support you, and I support all the prayers. And when we come to the prayers, I will amend prayer 2 to ensure that we have proper protection and prevent future occurrence of such ugly incidents. Thank you, Mr. President.
The Double Senate President. Double Senate President. What was the name of that agency that used to guide us? Is it VIO? Vehicle Inspection Officers. They were located within the Federal Road Safety Corps, or were they within the police? Yeah? Minister Works. But don't you think that if they were within the Federal Road Safety Corps, the highways, they probably would have been more effective? Because this incident in Gombe occurred because the brakes failed in a truck and it ran into a long queue as a result of checkpoint. So yes.
Mr. President, there was no checkpoint. That's what I was trying to say. There should have been something like a roadblock to protect the possession. But nothing like that. Just the people went to the highway and without any crime from the police, and the truck was coming from Yola in high speed, and then it rammed to the crowd. So don't use the word illegal, but unauthorized.
Well, if you
Improper arrangement.
yes, but the mover of the motion is saying that they have discovered that the driver intentionally ran into the procession and that it was brakes failed. That is what the Senator is in his motion. It's in his motion. Senator Antonio Yaro, do you stand by your motion?
That's what the investigation showed, and the video of the incidents, it was analyzed.
So it could have been outright criminality. Well, whatever happened, the lives of Nigerians were lost, and over 25 people lost their lives. In any society, you cannot control the attitude of people. Sometimes they could be on drugs, sometimes they could be drunk, and sometimes they could have improper motives. But I think the most important thing is that this has been brought to the fore of the Senate, and we have to sympathize with the people and plead that the relevant authorities should compensate the bereaved families, and also we should also pray that God will grant mercy to the souls of those who departed. We should also call on them. We should call on Distinguished colleagues, hello, 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 hello. Distinguished colleagues, I apologize for the slight disruption. I understand the system is still being tested. So let us very quickly go into the prayers of this motion. Prayer 1, commend the Gombe State government and Plenary local government for their prompt response to the incident. Those who support of prayer 1 say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Prayer 2, urge the Nigerian police and the Federal Road Safety Commission as well as other relevant security agencies to provide adequate security and ensure strict adherence to road safety measures to forestall future occurrence whenever such major events are taking place across the country. Those in support of prayer 2 say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Prayer 3 also urge Nigerian police to speed up the prosecution of the truck driver and ensure that he is placed in line with the applicable law for such offenses in Nigeria. Those in favor of prayer 3 say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Prayer 4 further urge the federal government to compensate the families of the deceased. Maybe we should say both the federal and state governments. I think, is there anybody that Senator Bongo, the Senator Bongo, this promotion says that we should urge the federal government to compensate the families of the deceased to assuage their grief to some extent. But I believe it was a state occurred in a state. And
yes,
so we should.
Is the state government?
I think it should be the state government.
Directed to the state government, not the federal government.
So we wish to take a motion to amend prayer 4. Instead of reading federal government, it will read state government.
Let me see the okay prayer 4. President, distinguished senators, first and foremost, before I move for an amendment, I want, in compliance with the rule of the Senate, urge all senators to resume their seats and maintain absolute silence so that we can have a very rich proceedings. I don't want to mention names.
The chief whip of the Senate for compliance of our debates,
and then
their seats.
Even those that are approaching the chair should resume their seats. Or even those that are approaching their chair should resume their seats.
Your observation is sustained.
Okay, sir. I now move for an amendment of prayer 4 to state that further urge the state government to compensate the family deceased to assuage their grief to some extent.
Thank you. So you move.
I so move.
Distinguished Senator Tambo. Distinguished Senator Tamboa. Distinguished Senator Tamboa. Yes. Former Governor of Sokoto State and now a distinguished senator. You may wish to second the motion that prayer 4 should be amended to read that we should urge the Gombe State government to compensate the families of the deceased in order to assuage their grief. Instead of federal government, yes, since it was a state of
well, Mr. President, my colleagues, I'm Amin Waziri Tambo, I represent Sokoto South District. I second the amendment as moved.
You were able to do that because you were once a speaker. Otherwise, we almost lost you in a heated discussion. Welcome back. The motion has been moved and seconded. Those in support that prayer 4 should urge the state government, the Gombe State government, to compensate the families of the deceased in order to assuage their grief to some extent. Those in support say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. So the word federal government is hereby deleted to reach Gombe State government. Prayer 5, observe a minute silence in honor of the victims. Those in support of prayer 5 say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Distinguished churches, I want to thank you for your contributions to the entirety of the debate and the motion brought by the Distinguished Senator Anthony Yaro of Gombe South is a very gruesome incident, scary, that the session that was very peaceful in nature, a truck driver ran into them, whether due to brake failure or intentionally. The police have apprehended the culprit, and we are asking at the Senate that justice be done in line with the laws of the land in order to forestall future occurrences of that nature. Now, may we now rise to observe a minute silence in honor of the departed. May Almighty God condole the bereaved families, the souls of the bereaved. May the souls of the departed rest in perfect peace. Leader of the Senate.
Mr. President, very distinguished Senator. Mr. President, very distinguished senators of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, the fourth business of the day is presentation of a House bill standing in my name on the Federal Medical Centers Act and Amendment Bill 2025, HG 642. Mr. President, you may wish to invite the Clerk of the Senate to read the short title of the bill.
Clerk of the Senate.
Mr. President, distinguished senators, Federal Medical Centers Act Amendment Bill 2025, HB 642, first reading.
Distinguished colleagues, Federal Medical Centers Act Amendment Bill 2025, HB 642, first reading taken. Leader of the Senate.
Mr. President, very distinguished colleagues, the second business of the day is the presentation of a House bill standing in my name on the Coastal and Inland Shipping Cabotage Act Amendment Bill 2025, HB 1593. Mr. President, you may wish to invite the Clerk of the Senate to read the short title of the bill.
Clerk of the Senate.
President, distinguished senators, Coastal and Inland Shipping Cabotage Act Amendment Bill 2025, HB 1593, first reading.
Distinguished colleagues, Coastal and Inland Shipping Cabotage Amendment Bill 2025, HB 1593, first reading taken. Leader of the Senate. Leader of the Senate.
Mr. President, very distinguished colleagues, the third business of the day is the presentation of a bill standing in the name of most Senator Plan Dike Sasso on the National Institute of Irrigation Establishment Bill 2025 SB 766. Mr. President, you may invite the Clerk of the Senate to read the short title of the bill.
Mr. President, distinguished senators, National Institute of Irrigation Establishment Bill 2025, SB 766, first reading.
Very distinguished colleagues, National Institute of Irrigation Establishment Bill 2025, SB 766, first reading taken. Leader of the Senate.
Mr. President, very distinguished senators, the fourth business of the day is the presentation of a bill standing in the name of most Senator Daniel Olubenga, Justice, on the Nigerian Maritime Trust Fund Establishment Bill 2025 SB 770. Mr. President, you may invite the Clerk of the Senate to read the short title of the bill.
The Senate.
Mr. President, distinguished senators, Nigerian Maritime Trust Fund Establishment Bill 2025, SB 760, first reading.
Distinguished colleagues, Nigerian Maritime Trust Fund Establishment Bill 2025 SB 770, first reading taken. Leader of the Senate.
Mr. President, very distinguished colleagues, the fifth business of the day is the presentation of a bill standing in the name of most distinguished Senator Yar Adua Abdul Aziz Musa on the Armed Forces Trust Fund Establishment Bill 2025 SB 773. Mr. President, you may invite the Senate to read the short title of the bill.
Clerk of the Senate.
Mr. President, distinguished senators, Armed Forces Trust Fund Establishment Bill 2025, SB 773, first reading.
Distinguished colleagues, Armed Forces Trust Fund Establishment Bill 2025, SB 773, first reading taken. Leader of the Senate. You may wish to suspend presentation of report 1 and consideration of bill, and then we take the motion. We'll come back to those two shortly.
President, again, pursuant to Order 1B of our rules, I rise to move that we step down or stand down.
Stand down.
What is listed as orders 6 and 7, which is the first business of the day, and as well as the second business of the day, to enable us go to the second order of the day, which is a motion standing in the name of most distinguished Senator Jimoh Ibrahim Folorunsho and 3 others on the urgent need for a national security summit. Mr. President, you may wish to invite most distinguished Senator Jimoh Ibrahim Folorunsho to move the motion.
Yes, my minority leader.
Thank you, Mr. President. I like to second the motion moved by the Senate leader. I so second.
The two colleagues have been moved and seconded that we stand down the two items. I dismiss him. Those in support that we do so, say aye and say nay. The ayes have it. This is Senator Jimo Ibrahim, PhD, Warfare.
Mr. Senate President, my very distinguished colleagues of the 10th Senate, I bring greetings with heavy heart to move this all-important motion for needs for National Security Summit by the Senate. As a foundation to the motion, as a matter of fact, while I remain the sponsor of this motion, Mr. Senate President, as announced by the leader of the Senate, 3 of my colleagues are also co-sponsors, and as a matter of fact, many of my colleagues have also expressed desire to have co-sponsored this all-important bill and motion. Have become very a pivotal edifice by which the foundation of the nation is rooted. The motion starts by addressing Your Excellency that the Senate should consign the high level of global insecurity which is arising due to the events in Russia and Ukraine. By various countries reflected in the new international order that is growing now. Mr. Senate President, concerning migrations and cancellations of even student visas as proposed in the new regime. Now, necessitated some countries to raise funds even by selling their citizenship, selling their passports, selling their intensifying economic conflict and undermine globalization, which the global space is invested in for the past 60 years. Very unfortunate. Further note, Mr. President, the significance of power and authority in geocentric level. As such, Nigeria must clarify strategic engagements in the international arena and the role of Senate in advising the executive to help government achieve substantial value and upholds her sovereignty. Even the next world war may not even require neutralism, but incredible growing economic war is gaining ground, destructive innovation in the global security system. Aware, distinguished Senator, that recent events which has placed past accomplishments and the success forces at risk. If our military and its partners are striving to address those challenges, they do not have solution global economic conflict or the effect of new tariff as with tensions growing in America and China. Military can dispose and other, they don't have solution to the economic crisis and economic wars. As a result, the security across Nigeria has become very effective and impacting the President of Federal Republic of Nigeria, President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, is of course very serious about the peace of Nigeria and the world peace for everyone. At church, there is need for some fact-finding intelligence support for Mr. President, even of the fact that most military strategies and intelligence and languages are now updated. I want to say clearly that the language relied by the military are outdated because criminals also use and they are using them, such as Alpha Bravo, Charlie Delta, Echo Foster, Golf Hotel, India Juliet, Kilo Lima, Mike November, Oscar Papa, Quebec Romeo, Sierra Tango, Uniform Victor, Whiskey X-Ray, Yan Sulu. All these languages are completely outdated, and this is what our military guys are relying on to solve the problem of insecurity. So as to say, Papa, Alpha, call for location, come over with your message. Criminal is also aware of what you are saying, and they know what you are saying. For there is for this 10th Senate to create or participate in creating alternative language to be deployed by this military engagement, as well as enhanced funding to advance professional practice and traditional expected of the future ministry. We don't even know whether hierarchy is significant importance to the management of security in Nigeria in future. We don't even know whether ranking is important at all. But we will know when we converge to discuss this at the National Security Summit has been proposed. Note, Mr. President, there is no country, and I put emphasis here, no country will allow a citizen to understand security by living with insecurity. That cannot be a way. That is not the best option. Understand security by living with insecurity. We must eradicate insecurity. Therefore, the ideology of peace for all, as outlined in the executive policy of the renewable agenda of President Bola should be upheld and promoted. Observe, therefore, that to address the challenges highlighted above, it is imperative that empirical fact-finding mission, National Assembly Security Summit, is organized by these senates to assist in providing requisite platform, enhancing, exhausting this party delegation as a way forward. Accordingly, Mr. Senate President, I move this assembly by saying that we should set up an ad hoc committee very urgently to organize a 3-day national summit in Abuja here, comprising all levels of government, Nigerians, which includes delegates from the federal government itself, the state government, and the local government, as well as national institutions, propose legitimate solution to insecurity and its challenges in this country. It is we move and we converge and we discuss these issues and we elevate this life. And people from federal local government and state government of Nigeria, and let Nigeria become secure to themselves and distill this important element that we can move forward to solve insecurity and move to security. Like I said before, I have the last point, Mr. Senate President. The nation cannot wait to understand security by living in security. Lastly, I want to urge that the federal government, after our conference, to implement whatever we are able to come up from that summit as the policy based on the outcome of the National Security Summit. So we have been discussing this security every day. We have been moving here and there. Police plateau, police killing just in Borno here and there. If we discuss Borno today, we will come up tomorrow. Lokoja come up next tomorrow. So, Mr. President, it is very important now that we converge as a state. We must learn our voice. We cannot leave executive alone. To look for solution. We have to converge and
I so move, Mr. Senate President. Thank you for the time. My distinguished colleagues, very much. Thank you.
As much as I agree that you are a holder warfare, you don't cause warfare in the Senate. You finished your question. You now went into debate yourself. They want to debate the motion. Let's even go to the extent of seconding the motion before we go in. You contribute, but let the distinguished Senator Dando say second the motion.
Thank you, President, my respected colleagues. The most important aspect on this security issue is we should have the political will and determination to face the challenges squarely. By my respected colleague, Senator Jimo Ibrahim, and I want to add my voice on this very important motion because it affected me one day.
Proceed.
The President, my respected colleagues, this issue of insecurity is a global problem. This issue of insecurity is a global problem, is a global challenge. It's not Nigerian problem alone. Have a political will and the determination to make the situation very responsive in terms of person squarely. The security agencies lack collaboration and lack intelligence gathering because most of the attacks need to be read and need to be foiled before even the attack came. And if you look at the situation we have in this country, the security that are saddled with the responsibility, most especially the police. The police are not doing enough because when they came out in the morning, in the night, they allowed the criminal elements to go and do whatever they are supposed to do. And another very important issue, most of these securities were assigned to VIPs and they are overstressed. So they are supposed to be controlled to face the challenges. And another very important issue is to have a state police so that they can face these criminal elements squarely because there is a supreme machineries who are operating without looking at the general situation of the masses because they are callous, they don't even care about anything. They operate in the morning and they operate in the night. So, Mr. President, this summit is timely, but the unfortunate situation we have to face and have a sustained coordinated operation to face these criminals and also make sure that this country is secured because Nigeria is blessed. We have no other countries than Nigeria. We have to face this criminal squarely. We have to come out with law. Anybody that was found guilty must be dealt with accordingly, whether by death penalty or by life sentence, because these issues that we are supposed to come lawmakers to ensure peace and stability of this country. No country succeed without having peace and security of our citizens. Mr. President, my colleagues, I know the President and the founder is doing, they are giving funding, so there is need for monitoring and evaluation of that judicial resources are spent accordingly and
Senator Nenge.
Thank you, Mr. President. My name is Senator Ningi, and I represent Bauchi Central. Let me commend the mover of the motion, Senator Jim Ibrahim from Ondo, for attempting to bring to fore the heart of the matter. Mr. President, the heart of the matter in Nigeria today, fundamentally, is security. Let me begin coming from the assumption actually propoundly delivered by Professor. Section 11 of our Constitution, public order and public security. The National Assembly, laws for federation or any part thereof, with respect to the maintenance and securing of public safety, public order, and providing, maintaining, and securing of such supplies, services, as may be designed by the National Assembly as essential supplies and services. Section 11. Mr. President, let me also go further. Section 80 of the Constitution, establishment of consolidated revenue fund. 81, they say all revenues or other monies raised or received by the Federation, revenues or other monies payable under the Constitution of any or any act of the National Assembly into any public fund of the Federation established for a specific purpose shall be paid and form consolidated revenue of the Federation. And it goes like, no money shall be withdrawn from the consolidated revenue until the Appropriation Act of the National Assembly prescribed. No money shall be withdrawn any public fund of the Federation other than the consolidated revenue until the Appropriation Act prevails. What are we saying today? For the last 2 years or so, members of the National Assembly have been lamenting, and I like to have the of the Senate President of Nigeria. Mr. Senate President, it is incumbent upon us by the motion ably presented today, let's put mirror to our faces. We are not representative of the global world, representative of Nigerians who elected us to come here. Therefore, whatever happens to us as Nigerians, we carry the burden. Mr. President, I took time to read some of our papers, and I would like to also recall your speech on the second session of the 10th Senate. And in your speech, you made mention of the fact that if security is the only thing this national will achieve, then it is all will go home and dry. President, 2 years down the line, what can we say is our achievement as a parliament? How many times, Mr. President, have we interrogated committees on defense, committees on navy, committee on air force, committee on police, committee on national security? These are committees that serve to achieve
what the Constitution says we should achieve over the last 2 years. And you recall, Mr. President, too, when we were screening the service chiefs, here we raised a question. One of the questions that was raised to the Chief of Air Staff was, Chief of Air Staff, where is our Tucano? Where is our Tucano aircraft? Fighter jets. You also recall, this Tucano was purchased by no less than $1 billion borrowed. And the answer given to the Parliament by the Chief of Air Staff was, Tucano is in our domain, but we can no longer use Tucano because we signed a contract which limited operations of this Tucano. If you know ab initio that this Tucano has limitations, inhibition for usage, why in the first instance did you buy? How much did you buy there? Who ordered the contract? Who did the procurement? Where are the Tucanos physically? Mr. President, we cannot divide the
The Senator, you are
Thank you, sir. Mr. President, this issue of security is troubling. And day in, day out, we are losing servicemen to this insurgent. Day in, day out, all across this country. It's not state or that, it is almost all the 36 states of the country. And I'm not going to stand up and claim is doing his best. The only time that we can say the president is doing his best is when we interrogate the implementation of the 2020 appropriation, the implementation of the 2024 appropriation as it pertains to security. You recall, Mr. President, the National Security Advisor was invited last year, and he came forward and told us point blank that not enough appropriation was to the security apparatus. Here, in the very lines of I can tell you in a very short time, I'm not a person, in a very short time, if care is not taken, these bandits that are running towns and villages in Benue, in Zamfara, in Sokoto, in Kebbi, are gradually moving into the neighborhood of this city. Today, Mr. President, I can confirm to you authoritatively that you can no longer go to Kwali, go to Kubwa, and suburbs beyond 10 o'clock in the evening because of fear of being taken away. And therefore, consequently, it is important to acknowledge if we continue to keep on doing things without result and keep on doing them, we are not only deceiving ourselves, we are deceiving the people that sent us here to represent them. I am not sure whether the solutions to do with creating a summit. First, Mr. President, we must be able to interrogate our committees in session 1 executive to come forward and inform us goes into their budget 2023, 2024, 2025, what goes out into the implementation of the budget. Secondly, I do not think it will be fair to the security chiefs if we just go ahead and do a security summit. We must integrate them one by one, injecting them findings of the appropriate standing committees. Committees are created, serve as liaison to the Senate. As a committee, you don't need to have an information and you sit on it. Sitting on it will not give you any desired effect. Once you have security reports and the security architecture of this country, you visibly see they are getting overwhelmed. Like Mr. President, in the course of the interrogation, let's find how many number of military personnel we have. How many are in the Air Force? How many in the Navy? How many are in the Army? How many in the police? How many are in the Office of National Security Officer? How many are in the NIA? And so on and so forth. Let's sit down and begin to believe that when we speak big grammar to solve the problem, it is much, much more than that. And Mr. President, like I said, during speech, the second session of the 10th Senate, this is a matter that you must lead. This is a matter that you must personally lead. It is not just enough to assign these responsibilities to committees. Because I don't like to assume that this committee chairman failed, but I would like to believe we have not called these committees to action in order to get them, to find out what are they actually doing. And not only all these security committees, it is the responsibility of the leadership, of course, under the of this leader, to interrogate committees. What do we do? What are we doing? What are we doing right? What are we doing wrong? And then the chamber will also contribute. I believe speaking in this manner, in plenary like this, is not going to bring any solution. And I believe the points raised by the apt, that germane, but I believe security summit is not the solution. It's much, much, much more than that. We need to do our homework. We need to bring data. We need to go to see the president with data. That's Lisa. It makes people a lot of wonder about so many things going under the leadership of the secretary. I'm not questioning the integrity, but I believe the servicemen are not getting their due protection, their due appreciation. They are not getting due. They are not being paid back. In the last 20 months, I've lost 520 service all across servicemen all across our armed forces. How long will we continue to lose them? And thousands of people, thousands of Nigerians that have been kidnapped on a daily basis. It's no longer any issue. People come to house and they will just kidnap you. And when you pay, they release you. And nothing has ever happened because the security servicemen are incapacitated. They are handicapped. Finally, last week on my way out of Lagos, I met someone who told me there is a possible invasion of Mamudawa security outfit all the way from and they are getting into Kwara and Oyo, and they are beginning to settle down there. Today, sir, the entire suburbs of the city called FCT is surrounded by illegal miners. And you remember what put Zamfara at the core terrorist striking area is mining. The entire gap between Abuja and Lokoja has been taken over by illegal mining. And they do it openly, clearly openly, and nobody questions them. And people are busy buying plots between here and Kuje and Lokoja, just because we were told mineral deposits there, and therefore the business has opened. And when you open that kind of business, make no doubt about that, the entire populace of T. I shall submit, Mr. President.
Distinguished colleagues, if you notice, the issue is whether or not we should have a security summit or a security retreat. It is, and Senator Ningi has raised a vital issue, which is, are we interrogating the chairman of our various security committees in the Senate? Chairman of Defense, Chairman of Navy, Chairman of Army, Chairman of National Security, Chairman of Air Force, and all. Are we even interrogating them? That is the question. And Senator to periodically compile the workings of the various committees and report back to the Senate. But that has not been done because he probably yet to have a meeting with all the Senate committee chairmen. And then he should be able to get written reports from them and communicate them to us. We don't need to discuss it in plenary. We can do so in closed session. So, but the question we need to answer now is the view of the escalating insecurity in the country. Sometimes be politically motivated, sometimes maybe as a result of movement of farmers or herders here and there, and sometimes maybe as a result of terrorism and intentional acts of sabotage of the government, or a direct attack on Nigerians from our enemies, from foreign countries. You know, so should we convene a 2-day or a 3-day security retreat where we will sit down, invite major stakeholders, including the traditionalists, including people who are experts in our fields, and including even the state governors and practitioners in the security sector, so that we can compile something and come out with a communique to help Nigeria moving forward. Senator Barrier.
Thank you, Mr. President. Where is Mr. President? You know, see.
Called me. I'll come to the minority. I know that there is something about these ancestors of the Senate. Senator Abari, of them. So when they stand up to
Thank
talk,
you, Mr. President. My name is Inab, and I want to say just two things. Number one, do we want to really be true to ourselves? And do we really want to be true to our calling here as senators? And the reason why I ask that is very simple, Mr. President. I have been here for a long time. And for each session I've been here, we have had security summits. Each session. In fact, the last one, we were part of setting it up, and then we did everything. At the end of the day, nothing came out of it. So, there is no one of us here who does not know what is going on in his area. Do we want to be true, fair, and say true about what is happening in this country? If we want to be true to ourselves, then we can go ahead with a summit. Then we can deal with this matter. But if we're just going to stand up here to make statements so that people will see us on television, then I want to profound, Mr. President, that we will just end up doing exactly what we have been doing, make statements, and nothing will come out of it. I so submit.
So, Senator, the minority.
Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, Mr. President,
I want to think that what is before us here now is whether we should convoke the National Security Summit. Mr. President, if you ask me, I will say the answer. Because, Mr. President, security is everybody's. These security challenges occur in various parts of Nigeria, various dimensions. It has become increasingly compelling, therefore, Mr. President, that in providing security solutions to our security challenges, there is no one size fits all. And so, every day you read in the social media, senators are held responsible for insecurity in their various domains. Some out of lack of understanding, some out of mischief. Governors are responsible. Mr. President is held responsible. Yet every day we find activities in the here challenging the challenges of insecurity. And so, Mr. President, that we have provided solutions in the past and they have not worked, they have not been implemented, will not stop us from providing solutions. Several occasions in this Senate, in the 9th and 10th, solutions have been provided, resolutions have been passed here on the need to rejig our security architecture. And so, now that we are confronted with this hydra insecurity, because in my constituency, Mr. President, almost every day, almost on a daily basis, buses are seized, drivers are killed, especially in Otukpo, and passengers are abducted, or walk into somebody's house, retired immigration officer's house, kill him. So now, it's become very scary that even in your homes, within the constituency now, by 8 o'clock, 7 o'clock, you must leave your place. And so, sir, I think that now that we have attempted various forms in terms of solutions, and they are not giving the desired results, there is nothing that stops us from continuing to explore all means of bringing security to a halt. And a conference, a summit, where all Nigerians that have interest, all Nigerians that know will come and offer their own expertise and knowledge, will be an appropriate thing for this Senate to do now, at least for the image of the Senate. Let us do what we are expected to do. Convoke a summit, provide solutions, give these solutions to the executive way of resolution of the Senate. I think that way we'll be moving towards finding solutions to the problems of insecurity in our country. Thank you, Mr. President.
So, anybody that is opposed to security summit? Senator Zam, what is your opinion? I'm coming.
Your Excellency, the Senate President, distinguished colleagues, I'm Senator Titus Tatangizam, represent Benue West Senatorial District. President, I want to thank you for allowing God to touch your eyes to see me. If there's anybody in these hallowed chambers that is badly affected by the challenge this country is going through, I think I am the one. That is why I co-sponsored this motion. Your Excellency, sir, I come from a local government area that has 15 council wards. As I speak to you, all the 13 council wards have been overrun by banditry. And the new style now is that they are no longer hosting flags. Take over your land, occupy your compound. They're no longer destroying schools, no longer destroying markets, living inside those facilities. So I told you, I am not even sure they is aware of the enormity of problems confronting Benue and other states in the north central Nigeria in particular. So, sir, this is a very serious matter. Time was when these people were hosting flags to establish themselves openly for the federal government to know that there was a challenge. They have now changed tactics. They have taken over most of the states in the north central. It appears leaders of this sub-national unit not talking for fear of being accused of not fighting hard or whatever purpose. This security summit is very essential. It's very, very essential. So that we speak. I want to associate myself with the submission by Senator Abamu. As a Senate, let us come out and tell the world that this is our own position. Let us make recommendations. If there is failure by any other organ of government, let the failure be established in that part of the government. But as a Senate, we owe our people a duty to speak out, to recommend solutions, and then allow the executive to implement, so that we will not be completely condemned alongside with any other person supposed to play their own role. So I wholeheartedly submit that there is need for the national summit to take place, and the Senate should do it. That is our job as the representatives of the people. We should see, are not just talking, but doing the needful. So I support the convocation of the summit. Thank you, sir.
Senator Lelo.
Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, Adam represent Center. Mr. President, there is nothing discussed here in this Senate, particularly the 8th Senate and the 9th Senate, where we had security summit. In fact, if I could recall vividly, we had 3 security summits in this Senate, and we made very detailed recommendations to the executive branch. And those recommendations, unfortunately, were not implemented. Mr. President, what we need is not security summit. We need to discuss with the services here in the chamber, one by one. We engage them into discussions. We tell them the emerging development, particularly the Kurawa that is invading no part of Nigeria, and also the invading no southern part of Nigeria. Just there is a new development, a new security, a new armed group called Bamuda. They are invading Niger and Kwara states, and very soon they will reach state. So the president needs to discuss with the service chiefs. There is nothing not discussed at the security summit. If they come, then tell us the strategies they are using to overcome this security threat. I don't believe that having security summit is the answer. Else, what we did in the past, what happened? All the recommendations are there and they are not implemented. So I'm of the opinion that we should call the Inspector General of Police, we should call the National Security Advisor, we should call Chief of Army Staff, Chief of Air Staff, Chief of Naval Staff, Chief of Defense Staff. We sit with them here and discuss thoroughly, and we hear from them the solutions they'll come up with. And the President, we shouldn't talk about only kinetic measures. There are no measures that need to be taken on the part of the federal government and the state government. But everything now loaded on the federal. When it comes to non-kinetic measures, governments have a responsibility
Local government have a responsibility. It is by so doing that we will overcome challenges in this country. I thought submit, Mr. President. Distinguished colleagues, this issue has been exhaustively debated. I want to thank distinguished Senator Jimo Ibrahim for this up. Amendment I would like to propose, if it is accepted by my colleagues, is that should we agree to have a security summit, it shouldn't be 3 days. We can have a 2-day security summit instead of 3 days. So let me go into the prayers. There is only one prayer here. But the second prayer is the outcome of security summit. If we agree to have it, then it takes care of the second prayer, which is to forward the outcome of security summit to the federal government for implementation. Those in support that the Senate should be forefront of convoking a national security summit with a view to discuss the entirety of the security situation in the country, preparing solution, at the same time rejigging security architecture with a, to enable us save lives and properties of our citizens and give them hope, an opportunity to bring their inputs. Say aye. Once again, say nay. Aye. So the Senate leader, you will come out tomorrow with the composition ad hoc committee to plan the security. The security summit will compose of delegates from the states, delegates from the traditional institutions, from the student bodies, from communities affected by the insurgency, and also we invite our colleagues in the House of Representatives and relevant committees to be part of it. And we also invite security experts to talk to us, in addition to getting the executive to also participate, so that we will have a holistic discussion and debate, because security is everybody's business. I want to read particularly a paragraph in the motion that led to this. So Jimo Ibrahim, while moving in motion, said, further aware that President Bola Ahmed Tinubu is serious about the peace of Nigeria. As such, there is need for some fact-finding intelligence support for Mr. President's efforts, even of the fact that most military strategies and languages such as Alpha, Charlie, Delta, Echo, Foxtrot, Golf, Hotel, India, Juliet, Kilo, Lima, Mike, November, Oscar, Papa, Quebec, Romeo, Syria, Uniform, Victor, Whiskey, X-Ray, Yankee are no longer exclusive to the military. This is worrisome. By the time we have security summit, you realize that the reason why these things have leaked to militants is because we also have a problem. The discipline, sometimes we are high-handed. When the police would train officers for minor offenses, when the army will, out of discipline, sack over 100 soldiers, many of them will go into training of militants. Then the languages that they were taught will now be passed to the militants. So we will discuss the issue of recruitment, because I believe that the security operations are as good as their training. How do you even recruit them? But most of these so-called militants were training people in bushes across, were once security agents who, for one reason or another, found their way out.
So it's important. We also have to look at the strength of the fighting forces in the country. Are they sufficient to combat the rising insecurity? What about the communities? How can we best utilize the vigilantes? How can we have community policing? How can we have community protection? What should families look for? If you suddenly see a truckload of people arrive in your market square, and then the number of ways they bring less than what the number is, a signal that you should speak. You must report them immediately. I do know when I was a governor, I saw a situation like that. When you see 5, 6 trucks loading people and bringing them down, and they go to the abattoir to mingle around, they are looking for jailbreak. They have one of their colleagues in jail that they want to bring a surprise. And if you don't ask them on time to interrogate them, then you have a jailbreak. So we need to discuss these issues. And I want to thank Jimo Ibrahim for bringing this up. I think it cannot be too much. Let's do our part, communicate to the appropriate agencies, invite the experts to address the nation application, invite those who are fleet to also join us. So I thank the Senate for this, and I concur that the decision to have the security summit is hereby carried. Leader of the Senate. Can we revert to those that we down? Yes.
Mr. President, very distinguished senators, the 6th business of the day, which was earlier stood down, is the presentation of the report of the Committee on Finance on the tax reform bills, Bs 584, 585, and 586. Mr. President and distinguished colleagues, you would recall that we had earlier taken the second reading of these bills and referred them to the Senate Committee on Finance. At this time, Mr. President, you may wish to invite most distinguished Senator Mohammed Sani Musa, aka 3, and of the committee, to move the motion for the Senate to receive the report.
Distinguished Senator Sani Musa, aka 3, Sarking Niger.
Thank you, Your Excellency, the President of the Senate, my distinguished colleagues. I welcome all of us back from the recess. My name is Mohammed Sani Musa, Senator representing Niger East Senatorial District. I stand to present or to seek for the Senate to approve that the report of the Committee on Finance on the tax reform bills SB 583, SB 584, SB 585, and SB 586 be laid, Excellency. I so move.
Senator Olamileko.
Thank you, Mr. President. Adeola Solomon.
Olamilekan, representing Ogun West Senatorial District in the Senate of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. Mr. President, colleague, I rise to second Chairman Senate Committee on Finance on the report, the Committee on Finance on the tax reform bill on SB 5358556 to be laid. I so second.
Distinguished colleagues, the motion has been moved and seconded. Those in support that the which shall pass second reading now be laid by the chairman of the Senate Committee on Finance say aye. Those and say nay. The ayes have it. Distinguished Sani Musa. Distinguished colleagues, the report on the tax bills having been submitted to us, I want the chairman of finance to ensure that every senator has copies. So please take back your copies and go and study them tonight, and then we will now go into clause by clause considerations on the next sitting, which will be tomorrow. But everybody, remember to bring your copy tomorrow when you are coming, because we are going to go into clause by clause considerations of the bills tomorrow. But the Senate will ensure that every senator here has copies of the bills today, so that you can use this night to go through them and come tomorrow and take part with the proper knowledge. Just by way of announcement, the chairman of the Committee on Agri Institutions and Research, distinguished Senator Simon Lalong, will relinquish that committee and give to distinguished Senator Sharafadin Ali. Distinguished Senator Sharafadin Ali will relinquish chairmanship of the Committee on INEC Electoral Matters to distinguished Senator Simon Lalong, who referred from today. Senator Jimo Ibrahim is hereby added to the ad hoc committee to oversight the interim administration of Rivers as chairman of Interparliamentary Affairs. Senator Anthony Ani will relinquish his vice chairman stroke chairman of the Senate Committee on Tourism to distinguished Senator Pam. Distinguished Senator Pam will take over the committee with effect from today. Distinguished Senator Engineer Eze Distinguished Senator Engineer Eze will relinquish his vice chairman of the Senate Committee on Southeast Development Commission, and distinguished Senator will take over as vice chairman of the Southeast Development Commission with effect from today. Therefore, distinguished Senator Emeka Engineer will retain the chairmanship of the Committee on Finance and the chairman and vice chairman on the chairmanship of the Committee on Information and the vice chairman and vice chairman of the Committee on Water Resources, where he's even the acting chairman equally. so you know, your stability has been in any way with effect today. The committee chairman and vice chairman who have exchanged hands today for their. We will do this from time to time to make sure that everybody carry along. And may God bless your endeavors. Senate Leader, the directive of the Senate that you should immediately call on the senators to ensure that you bring reports committee by committee, and then you will get back to the Senate with the report of the committees. You wish to move a motion for adjournment.
I thank you, Mr. President, and thank you, our distinguished colleagues. Mr. President, just before motion for adjournment, may I move that we step down the remaining item on the other paper today to the next legislative day. And this, well, I guess I need to second it. I so move, Mr. President.
Mr. President, I second the motion that the other items on the other paper be stepped down to the next legislative day. I so second.
The motion of the motion. Those in support, aye. Those against, nay. The ayes are.
Mr. President, very distinguished colleagues, again, before I move the motion for adjournment, may I most respectfully appeal to all our colleagues to ensure that they pick their own copies of the bill as they walk out of chamber today and make out time to go through the bills today, and thirdly, to also ensure that they bring the copies with them tomorrow. And having said that, Mr. President, I now move that the Senate do adjourn till tomorrow, Wednesday, the 7th of May, 2025, at 11 a.m. So move, Mr. President.
Minority Leader.
Mr. President, I second the motion that the Senate adjourns the next legislative day at 11 a.m. I so second.
This motion has been moved and seconded. Those in support that this August Assembly stands adjourned to Wednesday, the 7th day of May 2025 at 11 a.m. say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. The Senate is hereby adjourned to 7th day of May 2025 at 11 a.m. prompt. Thank you.